Trying to get organized. This camera wants to have a mind of its own. How are you guys doing today? If you are watching live, good morning. And if you are watching on the replay, I hope you're having a great day. I hope that whatever time it is that you're listening to it, whether it's in the car or whether it's at home, that you're actually getting something out of our episodes. Yesterday we talked about the last area of life to be balanced, which is family. And we worked through all 7 areas, and I gave you my thoughts on what was balanced in those areas. If you are watching for the first time, I'm Marie Ripka. I am on a journey with you to bust the stress, because I'm a recovering stress addict. I still am addicted to that feeling of go, 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 go. And it's really a problem in our society to continue to be in this fast-paced world where our bodies just continue to be in a stress response. And that's why we're sicker than normal or ever before, because our bodies kind of slow down in our immune system and in the jobs it's supposed to do, because we're trying to fight or flight most of the day. And I'm recovering from that because I had a stress-induced, or I should say stress-influenced, diagnosis a couple of years ago. And I've learned a lot. And I've just been trying to share with you guys every day what you can do to kind of reduce some of those stress loads in your life. And we just finished the series about the areas of life. And I'll just wrap it up one more time by saying you don't have to be balanced in all of those areas of life. If you missed any of those episodes and you feel unbalanced in one particular area, then go back and watch them. Those areas of life cannot be neglected for too long, or they'll catch up with you. Whether it's your mind that you've been neglecting, or your family, or your health, something will catch up. And you want to make sure that you are on this rotational basis where you actually do address it regularly. And when you don't, it kind of causes more stress. And what happens when we're stressed out is this feeling that we have to fix things and we have to fight things, and that's where the stress response comes in. Now, most of us will also turn to food as a reliever of stress when we're feeling stressed, and that's what we're going to go into in the next couple of days: emotional eating. And I was going to start this episode with my favorite emotional stress go-to foods, like my pretzels and a nice cold beer, right? Some of us turn to wine, we think, oh, can't wait to get my glass of wine. Ice cream, those are all foods that we turn to, and there's a reason psychologically and physically that we turn to those foods to feel better. And if we are working on reducing our stress, we want to make sure that we're not just emotionally eating just to fix those feelings. So we're not eating the way we do because we need to. Our bodies are not as hungry as we think they are. Most of the time we are eating for stress relief, comfort, or as a reward. We will grab for the wrong foods because our bodies are lacking nutrients that it needs. That's truly the real reason. It's not really because we want to feel the pleasure of it all as much as it is sometimes the nutrients. So it's 2 little pieces that we're going to talk. And I woke up one day after years of neglecting this area of life and realized that there was a connection. There was a connection between the foods that we're eating and actually what happens in our health and how it causes stress on the body, and sometimes disease that is sometimes irreversible. So it's important that we don't neglect this issue, because it's a real issue. A lot of us that work stressful will, I remember days at school where I was working and it was very stressful, and it was just so strong, the feeling of finding something to eat that was comforting, because that would take me away from that stressful situation. Even at home when things are hectic, I would find myself trying to reward myself with, I made it through another day, I deserve this relaxation, I'm gonna go sit in the tub and have some ice cream. And it still happens to this day. But when we are more aware of it, we can fight it and we can figure out ways to reduce that from happening. What I can tell you is this will not just go away. We have something in our minds called the pleasure trap. And Dr. Doug Lisle and Alan Goldhammer, they wrote this book called The Pleasure Trap. And in the book, they really lay it out very, very clearly about why we are eating the way we are eating and why we turn to foods to feel better when we're stressed out. There's a lot that goes into the psychology of health, and the book really helps others to understand why they may be in this self-destructive rut of eating junk food, and that causes more sickness. Dr. Lisle explains that we inherently want to pursue pleasure, we want to avoid pain, and we want to conserve energy. That's from way back in our ancestors' time. But in today's modern life, we translate that in modern day stresses to mean a culture of convenience, excess, and fast food. So what we used to use in the past with our ancestors trying to conserve energy and to avoid pain and have pleasure, we now turn into eating fast and the conveniences of modern day foods, and that all just doesn't serve us well. It served those motivational things served us way back when, but not now. Not now. It's actually causing a reverse effect. And we get really confused. We reach for things that we think are fulfilling those needs of pleasure and conserving energy and gaining more energy. And unfortunately, unless you're really educated in the food supply and what's happening with those kind of chemicals that are put in foods, you get tricked. We're reaching for quick fixes, and it's causing us to be more stressed. It will take a while to prepare a salad, so we don't do that as often as we should, But unfortunately, a salad will actually satisfy you longer than the bag of little Chex Mix. You have to start to understand more of what's happening. When you grab for the Chex Mix, because it's quick, convenient, and it's just there, instead of taking the time to make the salad, it's a good fix. It works for about 30 seconds, but it doesn't satisfy. And that's where we're in this vicious cycle. And we then will want to reach for more because a half hour later, we didn't satisfy what really our body needed. And that quick fix world that we're in, those kind of quick reaches will only help us for a few minutes. There's this really fun song that Bernie talks, that he shared with me once about junk food. I think it's called Junk Food Junkie. I'll try to find the YouTube clip and put it in the Facebook group because it's hilarious. It's like we try really hard all day long to do what we're supposed to do, and then he's a junk food junkie in the closet at night. But that's how we are. Either we're trying to fix our cravings and our desires, because remember, we want to be pleasured. We want to conserve energy or gain energy. So those are all things that we instinctively want to do, and we turn to quick things to do that. But then we're feeling sluggish and tired, and we just want another fix because we didn't do it right. We grabbed the Chex Mix instead of the salad with the peas and the fresh greens that would actually make us full for a while. It's not a matter of willpower. A lot of people say, well, if I only had the willpower. It's not about willpower. It's that will get you through that feeling. It's just too powerful. The body is sometimes so depleted from processed foods that we eat that it actually will fool our senses and cause us to reach for the wrong things. So how do we stop this cycle? We have to think about, first, understanding what's happening physiologically in the body. It's a whole trap. And if you're feeling like you try to reach or satisfy cravings most of the day, you have to take a few minutes to understand, one, what's happening in that moment. So I want you to first look up the pleasure trap. You can find Dr. Lisle and Alan Goldhammer on YouTube and just listen to what they're saying. I'm going to go into a little bit more in depth of what they teach tomorrow and Friday. But I want you to do your own research, because if this is really something that you struggle with, you have to understand physiologically what's happening in the body. And of course, they studied it, they understand it even more than, I can only tell you what I've learned from them. So take a little bit of time, make it an action step in this area of life that you're going to do, a few minutes every day where you're learning a little bit more about what's happening with the mind. And then when you understand that, when you go to reach for the food, it's going to feel different. You're going to like, wow, okay, wait a minute. If I eat this, this is going to happen in my mind. I'm going to think that the pleasure is being met, but it really isn't. So just understanding that alone might make it better. It might help. At least it does for me. It's a curse in a sense, because now that I know, it's harder. I mean, I still eat some indulgences, but it is harder to just grab for it because I understand it better. In the meantime, while you're trying to get some knowledge about that area, I want you to think the next time that you feel, I keep potato chips out of the house because I'm so weak when I see, I know. It is very challenging, and that's a good strategy to have, because if we know those triggers, then you can avoid those triggers. And that's what I want you to do. In the meantime, from learning more about the emotional eating and the pleasure trap, I want you to think next time you want to eat, okay? This is really powerful. The next time you want to go grab those potato chips, or go to, you feel hungry, like, okay, I need to eat. I want you to delay it. I want you to delay that gratification for 15, 20 minutes. I know you're gonna feel like you're gonna die, but I promise you, you're not gonna die. That hunger is okay to feel for a little bit of time. It's not really true hunger. It's really nutrient deficiency, or that need for a quick pleasure fix. So you're not gonna die. I want you to delay grabbing the food. Now, I'm not telling you right now to not grab it. I'm just telling you the next time you have this urge to go grab something to eat, I want you not to. I want you to delay it, okay? I'm not saying not to, I'm just saying delay it. And then when you're feeling that torture for 15 to 20 minutes, like, I gotta get it, that moment of time, if you are aware of those feelings that are happening in your body, you can ask yourself a couple of questions. One, was there anything that happened right before I went to grab for those chips that might have triggered me wanting to? Was there some kind of stressor that is happening today that makes me want to grab that dark chocolate or that Twix candy bar? What is happening right now that makes me feel like I have to eat? If you can do that a few times in the next few days, where you delay grabbing the junk food and thinking in the moment, is there a stressor that's causing me to want to go for food to satisfy pleasure, then you will be able to identify something that might be stressing you that you can release or to eliminate. Because we don't want to be in that cycle of overeating, and we definitely don't want to be in that cycle of eating junk food after junk food after junk food, because our body will, of course, collapse. We want to be healthy and energetic, and we want to be able to accomplish the goals that we have. And eating that junk food cycle is not gonna help us. So we have to address it. So next time you want to eat something for pleasure, I want you to delay it. Delay. Remember, I said delay, and I'm not saying don't, I'm saying delay. And in those few moments, I want you to try to think about what caused you to want to eat that. Was it for pleasure? Was it for reward? Or was it because your body was feeling weird? There's some things there that can tell you what's happening that caused that to happen. The other thing I want you to do when you are feeling that and you are delaying in that few minutes and reflecting, I want you to think about, what did I eat for breakfast? What did I eat for lunch? What did I give my body today in food? Because if it wasn't whole and it wasn't full of nutrients, that could be why you feel like you need more. Because your body is saying, hey, you haven't fed me today. Yeah, we eat a lot of different things, and we eat a lot of junk, and we eat a lot of foods, but a lot of them are processed and full of chemicals that trick our mind into thinking one way, but yet our body really, the system of health in our body is telling us something different. And it's telling us that, you didn't feed me today. And you're processing, well, yeah, I did. I gave you a bagel with cream cheese for breakfast, and I just went through McDonald's, and I got a grilled chicken sandwich, and I had orange juice. That has to count for something. I want you to really think in that moment when you want to grab for some junk, what did you eat today? Did you eat satisfying whole foods that provided the nutrients your body needed? Or did you eat a lot of junk food or foods that you think are full of nutrition but are not? And then when you start to see those patterns over a few episodes of that, it'll be eye-opening. It'll be like, wow, yeah, I guess, 3 days of a bagel with cream cheese is just not going to do it in the morning. And then you can start to change and make it an action plan on your health area of life to maybe change that. If you don't like emotional eating and you don't like being overweight or feeling tired or sluggish, you got to do something about it. And when you do something about those things, you will have less stress, because stress comes in our life when we don't feel well enough to do what we're supposed to do. And we're at that constant struggle with ourselves because we know we should be doing something else, we should be doing more, but we can't because we don't feel good or we don't feel energetic enough to do it. That's where we have more stress. And if you want to bust the stress in your life, you have to feel good. And you're only going to feel good if your body is satisfied and not always just yearning for junk to fulfill a pleasure that really can be fixed by feeding the body right and removing some of those stresses that we feel trigger that need for pleasure and relaxation. So, did you guys get anything out of that? I hope so. I saw some comments. Please, questions, comments. Any of you experience emotional eating? I know there's sometimes a delay in the comments, so I'm going to actually just pull it up also on my Facebook, on my iPad, and see if anybody has anything to say. I know, Janet, you said that you've come up with a solution to not have chips in the house, and that's really important, because if we know that that's a trigger for us and we remove that trigger, you can't eat that junk, right? It's removed. Florence says, mine is ice cream. If it is there, I have to have it. So yeah. And I have ice cream in my freezer. I have dairy-free ice cream, but I do turn to it sometimes. And if I took my own advice, what I'm telling you guys, when I want to turn to it, what I would do, and what I'm telling you to do, is to think, one, what is causing me to want that ice cream right now? Do I feel like I need it? Do I feel like I deserve it? And then two is, what was my day like in eating? Did I satisfy my nutrient needs and my food needs with quality food so that I didn't feel like I needed that ice cream? And I'm not saying, you're having a fun day out and you're having ice cream as a treat. I think treats are good. I think treats, especially when you're with your family and you're having some time together, is one thing. But when we're doing this every single day, especially in our, the quiet of our own little world, it's not really about a treat. It's really about turning to something to fulfill something that's missing. And that has to get fixed if we want to eliminate that. All right, let me see if there's any other comments. All right, I think that you guys can obviously conquer that. 2 jobs for you. 1, when you're feeling like you want to eat something, an urge, it's called that urge, or that feeling that you're gonna die if you don't eat it. I want you to delay it for 15 to 20 minutes. And then in that delaying, I want you to preceded my feeling of wanting to eat. Was there something happening in that moment that caused me to want to eat it? Because that could be the underlying stress that you see a pattern with if you keep doing it for a few days. And 2, reflect on what you did. Were they whole foods, and were they good quality, nutrient dense foods? If you can say yes, then there's probably the stressors that are causing it. And if you could say no, it's probably your body just saying, hey, feed me, because it really wants nutrients. It doesn't want junk. So I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments. I check back throughout the day and try to answer. I'm going to try to find that junk food song and throw it into the Facebook page, because I think it's so funny. It's really funny. And it might just bring you some pleasure. Remember, we have to have fun to reduce stress as well. And tomorrow and Friday, we're going to really get into what kind of foods we can eat to, 1, feel satisfied, and 2, reduce some stress. I have 6 foods that you can actually eat that will reduce your stress levels. So that's exciting. I'll use tomorrow to really get into a little bit more about what Dr. Lyles and Alan Goldhammer talk about as far as satisfaction and the pleasure trap. And then on Friday, I'll talk about the 6 foods that I recommend to eat to actually reduce your stress. So hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.